that's a long ass story, so I'm gonna chop it up a little bit. Basically, I had came off like a 7 year relationship, and I got a scholarship to live in France. So I've never been out the country before, so I'm like, man, fuck that, I'm going to France, bro, because New York is killing me right now. So I lived in Cheville, right outside of Paris, and the reason I got the garden is because I used to sit in that. I had a garden in my crib. I lived by myself. My landlord had built this garden around this whole crib. The shit was like some like Pan's Labyrinth type shit, bro. It was just a big ass garden. Used to sit in there. Used to sip tea. I used to write. And I wrote this song at like 3 a.m. Like one of my popular songs. It's actually an R&B song. It's called Pecan Pie. And so it's also like a fan favorite. And I wrote that like fresh off a breakup and like fresh off of struggling to pay like anything. Like I was like broke, bro. I was broke before I left to France. Like I had nothing, my nigga. My job was giving me no hours. And then grace of God, bro, I got a scholarship. The people that had sponsored me for the scholarship from my school put bread in my pocket. It was just a lot. Like my parents helped me out, you know what I'm saying? So like I got blessed at the last second. So Pecan Pie just kind of formed from that, like what I was going through mentally. And then I didn't get to record anything until I got back to the States. And when I come back to the States, I was down bad. Like my pockets was like in the negative on them euros, fucked my pockets up, all of that. And then I came back to like, everyone was just really, everyone showed me love upon returning. And I kind of was like, that's why you see the garden kind of has two different sounds to it. Because in some parts of it, you see a desperation, but a calmness and a peace to it. And then you feel like this aggressiveness, and that's because of duality. I kind of always kind of navigate throughout. I'll find my peace for a bit, and then I'll lose it again, and then I'll find it, and I'll be on the search for it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, going through that, Pecan Pie was really, like, the foundation of it. And then coming back and just making more tracks, I'm like, the sound is coming together. But then quarantine hit. And I'm like, none of these things resonate with me anymore. And, like, none of this resonates at all. Like, I was in a much different space. I was in a childish space at the beginning of the album. That quarantine, that sitting there, that being introspective and really looking at your life in pieces, and that growth that I had in just these 6 months really was like, you know what? My subject matter is different. My way of thinking is different. Let me redo these tracks. Let me get these new beats. Let me put something that really represents how I'm feeling right now. And that's how the garden came to be. The garden is basically how I interpret the human experience, is that all of us need certain aspects in certain contexts to grow. We constantly need to be watered and taken care of in certain ways. But at the end of the day, as long as we're maintained properly and do what we need to do, our garden's going to keep flourishing. So, that's the garden. I actually read there's two. There's two just because like it just shows you how fickle shit is and how funny life can kind of come. So I miss my friends when we did that final mix, bro. I was on Instagram scrolling, and like we puffing it up, my nigga. Like we're chilling, we're vibing, and I find out through Instagram that one of like my close family friends, like an uncle, had passed away from COVID, and I'm sitting there in the studio like this is like the greatest night, one of the worst nights, and it just kind of showed that duality I'm always kind of stuck between. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm chilling, I'm with my niggas, and I made this song for us. This is a triumph for COVID. My uncle passed through COVID, you know what I'm saying? So that kind of just hit me. It's like, no matter what L I take, I have to move forward because there's always going to be some shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to shake it off, you got to accept it, you got to acknowledge it. You could stumble, you could trip, but if you fall, you cannot stay there. So that's what that moment did for me. Alicia Dragon just really taught me how to channel my energy because my homie that's on the Showtime, we had like got into a bad argument that day, bro. We was not fucking with each other. Coming around was like, yo, bro, like you coming to the studio or what, my nigga? He's like, yeah, give me a second. And so we in the car, bro, we beefing type shit. I'm like, yo, I got this nigga with me. I'm like, bro, do you just want to get on this song line energy one mind? And then I start like getting the booth and I just start screaming, just start going. He's puffing it down. He's kind of starting to chill out. He's feeling that energy. He starts, he got that Rasengan going. He's channeling his chakra in the palm of his motherfucking hand and he's feeling it. So I'm like, yeah, you like that shit? We get in, and then my homie Haku, who's also on the hook at the end, he always brings the energy to it. So we just start rocking with it. And we really learned that, like, no matter what we feel, if we just learn to translate that to a track, we're just going to be in a better headspace always, whether it's angry. Like, we kind of just understood the kind of power that we can harness. OnlyFans, nah, that's very under rats. That's low-key under rats. But it's just like, people, I have an eye for casting, you feel me? So, like, I'm friends with, like, A lot of women. Honestly, my main friend groups is women. So like the girls that's in the video, they're all my homegirls. You feel me? Like they cool as fuck. But people really like the casting, and it's not like I consciously go out and I'm like, yo, she's bad, she's bad, she's bad. Let's be friends. I attract very pretty people, male and female. You feel me? Like you just kind of flock. So it's like, all right, cool. And some people are like, bro, like, you know, because a couple of them in the video are actually sex workers. So like, yo, like we can get an OnlyFans version of this. I'm like, all right, maybe not for this song, but like just a song in particular, like a fire OnlyFans video. All right, I might rock with it just because people like the idea. Because not only like will we get people talking, but like you make a bag. Like if I can have my homegirls that really do this sex work shit, if I can help them make a bag in the process, I'm cool with that. Because at the end of the day, like that song was a song for my friends. So even maybe not for that song, but the OnlyFans video in general would be fire. You know what I'm saying? Because we all get a bag from it. We all get exposure from it.